I had a history of heart disease. It's there. They know my history. I went for an exemption, but I was denied.
I just got back a letter on Monday that is telling me that my blood clots doesn't fit the criteria for medical exemption.
I must support my brothers and sisters. Those who wish not to be vaccinated, it should be a choice.
Now, if you're not vaccinated or you are vaccinated and you're a healthy person, you don't have COVID-19, you are a threat to no one.
Tension again. I want to catch the plane. I want to go overseas to meet my family.
So are you still employed at the customs?
I was given my letter of dismissal yesterday.
And how long did you work at the customs department in the public service generally? 31 years.
And from the instant he took the vaccine, his health constantly declined and he eventually passed away.
In smaller countries, pulling back from the mandatory vaccination issue because they realize every day the science about the vaccination keep changing.
And if you tell me they say the medical science says that I need to get a booster shot, at some point I will do it. But nobody is going to force me to take a third shot if I don't want to.
This is just the smoke, the fire is behind. We are waiting until the parliament is going to meet. You suppose I have to put a going on in the country here?
I am demonstrating with what they want happen. This is exactly what's going to happen. When many homes have been, void of the only breadwinner, many homes, and people take it lightly, then people are going to beg to become vagrants. What else do you expect?
Are you a teacher?
I am a teacher for 28 years.
Do you mind if I ask you if you took the vaccine?
I did not.
Do you mind if I ask why?
I had a history of heart disease. It's there. They know my history. I went for an exemption, but I was denied. They did not take a test. The doctor did not even check my pulse. He just simply said I am not qualified for an exemption. So if that's the case, then I'm not going to take it and then they say I die from underlying causes. You understand? Because that's not what they would say. Because of my history of heart attack, I take it the next thing my heart started going crazy again. I went all Trinidad with this. You understand? But I was refused an exemption, so that's what it is now. I'm not going to take that. I'm not going to take that, not even if my life depends on it. I'm not going to take it. I'm not discouraging others if they want to take it. But all I'm saying, I have a problem, so I'm not going to take it.
Have you received a letter of dismissal or anything like that?
No, not yet. Not yet.
So what is your plan?
My plan? Numerous. But right now, I am standing in line for many who may not have a plan. Others who do not have a skill. I'm a technical vocational teacher. I have many skills.
Where do you teach?
I teach at Kingston Technical Institute.
This is a teacher who took the vaccine, and from the instant he took the vaccine, his health constantly declined and he eventually passed away sometime this week. So that's why I'm holding this placard in memory of Mr. Andre Lewis.
Did you walk along with him at the same school?
No, I was not. But I'm quite familiar with him.
Do you mind if I ask you about your vaccination status?
I am not vaccinated.
Are you a teacher?
Yes, I am a teacher.
Do you plan to get vaccinated?
Not at all.
May I ask why?
From what is happening, I have my own beliefs about the vaccine. I believe there is a hidden agenda. It's evident that the vaccine is not doing what a vaccine is supposed to do. So I am just standing against it.
What then is your plan in light of the law that was passed?
I am totally against mandatory vaccination. I believe in freedom of choice. I believe in freedom of choice, and I'm standing by that.
So I said,
it's our God-given right.
A law has been passed that says that if you don't take a vaccine by a particular time, and that time has passed, you're no longer considered a teacher.
Well, if that's the law, but I'm standing, and I know the Lord is with me, so I'm okay about it.
How long have you been a teacher?
About 29 years.
I thank you.
Yes, I'm a teacher.
How long have you been teaching and where?
For 22 years, and I've spent 20 of those 22 years at the St. Vincent Grammar School.
And why are you on the picket line this morning?
I'm on the picket line because I stand for liberty of conscience. I believe it is a God-given right, and it is also constitutionally protected. And we are not supposed to be forced to put a substance into our body that we are against. So I am here against mandatory vaccination.
May I ask you about your own vaccination status?
I am unvaccinated or unvaccinated as we say, because we understand that this is not really a vaccine. It is not like the other childhood vaccine. They are pushing it like that, but it is not a vaccine. It is not doing what it is supposed to do.
Do you plan to get vaccinated?
No, not at all.
So what then is your plan in light of the law that the government has passed?
Well, we will see by God's grace, but I can tell you right now what I am doing. I'm going to work.
And are you allowed to teach?
Yes, I'm allowed to teach at my school. I'm teaching.
At the St. Vincent Grammar?
At the St. Vincent Grammar School.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Kenton. That's why I keep saying if they don't stick up, but nobody is stick up.
Yeah, everybody's straight, weakling them. This man just laughing after them. Yeah.
Move for Kenton Chance because you'll capture my moment on
Chance.
What's up?
Well, I'm here because, of course, I'm standing against mandatory vaccines. I'm standing against the wickedness, sending home people after 30, 42 years, and refusing to give them their benefits. I do believe that because the COVID situation is so fluid, that people have a right to make a decision, and even if it were not a case where they are concerned medically, that if they have religious beliefs or whatever convictions that they have, they should be able to exercise their conscience. And once the Prime Minister is trying to take that away from us, then I should be out there standing against that.
Are you a teacher?
Yes, I am.
And do you mind if I ask you your vaccination status?
I am unvaccinated, but I am Vincentian.
And what is your plan?
What is my plan?
In terms of your job?
Well, I do not intend to take the vaccine right now. And I have not been dismissed by the government, and I will not resign either, because I am not giving up my job. I did not do anything illegally. I did not do anything against the mandates that are ruling civil servants. And until then, I have a job.
Have you been reported for duty?
No, I have not. I have not reported for the 10 days that they asked us to stay at home. My principal sent a formal correspondence to us via email, and she represented the Ministry of Education. She sent the rules, what we should do, what we should not do, and I did not do.
What school do you teach at?
I teach at Thomas Saunders Secondary.
How long have you been teaching?
I started in 2014.
Industrial Relations and Research Officer
at the Teachers Union. So, Mr. John, can you tell us about this activity this morning?
Well, this activity was planned to speak up, to speak out against mandatory vaccination and against the fact that teachers' jobs are being threatened. And not just teachers. We are from the Teachers Union, but we are speaking for workers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Workers who during this season are being told that they will not be paid. Workers who are being told to leave the job without a letter, without any kind of documentation. So we are speaking on behalf of our teachers. right? And this is a manifestation of what we can do as a union. People are going to come out and people are going to support what we are doing. We have that confidence.
Do you mind if I ask you, are you retired or an active teacher?
No, I've retired. I taught for 38 years, right, as a teacher. I would have been in the union for about 36 of those years, right? And not only that, but I would have taken part in every single action that the union mandated. So this is not new to me.
Do you mind if I ask you about your own vaccination status?
Well, I really don't mind, to tell you the truth, because I am one who believes that taking the vaccine is a matter of choice, right? So I am unvaccinated. I don't mind saying that because I would have had to consider my own medical situation, right? As a retiree, I have to take things into consideration before. And I think, to tell you the truth, that we should have been taking this vaccination thing a little more seriously in terms of having persons actually examine before giving them the vaccine. Not having people in a tent just checking your pressure, but having persons examine medically to see what issues they have before they take the vaccine. So with certain underlying things that I have, I think it might be a risk, and I prefer to choose not to.
How would you respond to people who say, well, you are retired, you have your pensions and all your benefits intact, so you could afford to take such a position?
Yes, I agree with them. I agree with them, and all teachers should have their benefits. Why should you want to take people's benefit from them after teaching for 36 years? They should be in the same position as I am, and that's why I'm saying they should stand.
But the point I'm making is that some people might say that you could afford to not get vaccinated and join the protest because you're retired, you have your benefits, you already got your gratuity.
Right, I understand the point you are making, but what I was saying to you is that the package that I got would have been from years of service, and so no government, no authority has the right to tell you that after working for these years you should not. So my being here is saying to teachers, stand up for your rights, stand up for your pension and your gratuity, right? It is your right, you have worked for it, right? So it's very, very unfair that you are telling persons.
And I see, sorry,
you should leave.
I see you standing here next to Mr. Van Ryk, and you are a member of the executive of the union.
Yeah, first vice president.
First vice president. Remind us of your full name, Van Ryk Williams. Okay, so Mr. Williams, why are you on the picket line? Is it simply because you are an executive member of the union?
No, you see, I believe in the collective principle. I believe that teachers, they should have a choice, and hence I must support my colleagues, my brothers and my sisters who choose not to be vaccinated, even though I may have my own opinion as to my status and what I think should happen. But I must support my brothers and sisters. I must support the collective principle.
Do you mind if I ask you, to the extent that you mentioned, what is your own view on what should happen, as you said?
Okay, what is my own view? Well, I have my own view concerning the vaccination. As a matter of fact, I am vaccinated, but I am here to support my colleagues. And I have been vaccinated early, long before all this issue about no jobs or anything like that. If I can recall, I believe I've been vaccinated since about March, and I keep on.
Based on the current science, you might not be vaccinated because you took the vaccine more than 6 months ago.
More than 6 months ago. Well, apparently it may be that way, but still, I did it because I believe that it may be the way forward, not only for health purposes, but also for the country as well. But at the same time, teachers should have a choice. Workers should have a choice. Every individual should have a choice, and they should choose what enters their body and what doesn't enter their body. I have a choice, I chose. But still, as I keep on saying, I must support my brothers and sisters. Those who wish not to be vaccinated, it should be a choice. Hence, I'm here.
How do you see this whole situation ending?
Well, I really don't know how it ends or how it will end, but I do hope that the government will see that teachers and other workers, they have a choice, they have a voice as well, and hopefully, just hopefully, the act may repeal.
Mr. John, another question for you. Do you know how many teachers did not take the vaccine?
Well, according to an article that you wrote, right, we are talking upwards of 200 teachers. The Prime Minister said 320, right? But he was trying to be technical by saying some of them did not report. But we know that from our reports, we have over 150 who have already reported to us, right, who have issues, and some of them we are encouraging them to come in, put your issues on the table, right? And we know for a fact that it is going to be difficult for us to operate the education system, which is not at the moment at the top of its game, without the benefit of some of our senior teachers, some of our experienced teachers, some of our qualified teachers. So the number might be 150 to 200, but those numbers consist of a lot of years of experience.
And we do not believe it is the right of any government or any other organization force the conscience, force what their consciences do not allow them to do. And therefore, solidarity with the reinstatement of those who are given letters of dismissal. And also,
okay, this is Reverend Cameron Harry of the Church of the Nazarene. Are you here to represent the Church of the Nazarene?
Well, I'm primarily here to represent is to stand with and support the teachers. Well, the Church of the Nazarene supports justice, so I believe that by virtue of such, I do support the principles of the Church of the Nazarene, because what is happening, I believe, is creating a great division in our nation. It is causing persons who will normally stand with each other to literally with a gun to their head stand against one another. There is what I might term as a medical apartheid being created by this mandatory vaccination. And I really don't know how far it will go, but I believe we need to stand now, because soon we might end up to the bottom of a very, very slippery slope that we may not be able to recover from. Democracy is important. Justice is at the heart of God, and there is no way I can support a mandate that says that if you are not willing, because of your conviction, to not take your personal conviction and conscience to not take a vaccine into your own body, that you should be fired and your accrued benefits should be taken away from you. There's no way. There is no way I can support that. It pains my heart to see persons twisting themselves into pretzels to try to justify such an action. There is no way. No child of God, no believer in biblical principles can support such a mandate. None.
Can you tell me explicitly what is the position of the Church of the Nazarene on the COVID-19 vaccine?
The Church of the Nazarene position is very clear. The Church of the Nazarene supports healing through medicine and support divine healing through divine intervention. But what is critical is that we understand that when it comes to medicine and vaccination, we don't support the mandatory implementation of such. We believe that it should always be a personal choice, a personal decision. So we are not here to oppose the vaccine in any way. We are here to make it clear that a mandate for a vaccination should be opposed, because it should be based on an individual's choice, not with a gun to your head.
It's not very often that we see clerics, pastors, religious leaders coming out like this. A few years ago, there was a march against the challenge to the buggery law, and we saw a lot of Christians on the street. But on this one, we aren't seeing a lot of pastors coming out.
Well, what I can tell you, the only other demonstration I had been a part of, it was when there was a threat to the changing of the buggery laws. And this is the, first time outside of that I am participating in any form of demonstration. Now this one is different. This is different because when we oppose the change of the buggery laws, those in authority were opposing also. But now, those who are in authority are for an unethical, ungodly, and wicked mandate. And those of us who are part of the church, sometimes we feel a little threatened, we feel a little timid to oppose things that those who are in authority or the government support. But I believe that anyone who supports, who is a Christian, can say that this is my party, I support the government, can say anything like that and say, but you are wrong on this issue. And I believe that is where sometimes the leaders in the church have a little problem, in that we find it hard to go against the national leaders and the party we support. But believe me, at the end of it, it's better I stand on the side of God. Because when Joshua stood up and he said, and presented the two ways, he didn't then say, as for me and my house will follow me. He said, as for me and my house we shall serve the Lord. So it is not, this protest is not about standing on a side of man. It is about standing on the side of God. So it doesn't matter who, when I stand on the side of God, who I oppose, because I know I'm on the right side. So I would like to encourage leaders and pastors to always be willing to stand on the side of God. And I will not think that pastors are not here because they are evil in any way. But I think that all of us cannot be here. So I stand and represent them.
The question that many would ask is, what is the alternative?
The alternative to
mandatory vaccination?
Well, I believe that I saw a letter written to teachers saying that they are not to make contact with the children because if you are unvaccinated, you are a threat to the health of the children. I think that's a terrible lie. I think it is damaging to our nation and to our children, because we could be teaching them something very wrong. Now, if you are not vaccinated or you are vaccinated and you are a healthy person, you don't have COVID-19, you are a threat to no one, whether vaccinated or not. When you become a threat to the health of the children as it relates to COVID-19 is when you are infected. And the alternative for me, it shouldn't be a choice between vaccination or not. What should happen? My God. What? I believe the alternative is really for testing. Testing is the only way for us to know who is a threat and who isn't. So we should have continued to test regularly, whether vaccinated or not, for the frontline workers. I believe that's the only alternative.
Do you mind if I ask you your own vaccination status?
I am unvaccinated, and that is my personal choice. And I believe that if I don't have COVID-19, I continue to be safe. I'm a threat to no one.
Do you plan to get vaccinated?
That is not well, I don't have any immediate plans to. But I don't know what will happen. But I don't have any immediate plans to be vaccinated, because I've said it many times, we have no issue with the vaccine. I have issues with the mandate. Currently, I believe my immune system will keep me safe. Until my doctor tells me otherwise, I can act on that. You have amplified music playing. You have amplified music playing right here, and the gentleman, they don't stop that amplified music. But a gentleman is speaking in a small amplified megaphone horn, and he has been taken away. I think that justice, the Bible, Martin Luther said it enough. We should not be satisfied in this nation until justice flows like a river and righteousness like mighty waters.
Blood of Jesus that washes white as snow.
Do you think the blood of Jesus will help in this campaign in which you engage? You just keep it there. You can keep it there. You can keep it there. I was asking if you think the blood of Jesus would help.
Of course, the blood of Jesus has the power to heal and to deliver. and to save.
Are you a teacher?
I'm a principal.
You're a principal. Can I ask you what school you're a principal of?
The Diamonds Government School.
And do you mind if I ask you why did you choose to join this picket here today?
Well, I'm standing up for the rights of our people. And I'm totally against mandatory vaccination. Now, for what I do know, that the Lord Jesus Christ, He would have shed His blood in the Garden of Gethsemane just for our willpower to choose. So we have, as a people, we have the right to choose. God has given us that privilege. He has given us that freedom to choose. And if we choose not to take a substance in our body, if we believe our body is a temple of the living God, if the Holy Spirit dwells in us, then we must not put any and anything in our bodies that we don't know about. Alright, so we choose to, we pledge allegiance to God Almighty, the Lord God of heaven's armies. The battle that we are fighting, the battle is His and victory is ours. So we are claiming victory in Jesus' name.
In light of what you said, do you mind if I ask you if you're vaccinated?
I'm not.
And how has that affected your job?
Well, you see, I'm here, so that tells the story.
So have you gone to the school since the 3rd of December, last Friday?
I was there yesterday.
And did any of the ministry officials inform you to move or anything like that to leave?
No.
And would you continue to report to work?
I believe I will go with the Spirit, if the Spirit directs me to.
How long have you been an educator?
Over 30 years.
So, how would you respond to people who say that, you know, you're so close to a full retirement package with gratuity, pensions and everything? Why don't you just maybe take early retirement and, rather than put yourself at risk of losing everything?
Well, I do not see myself putting myself at risk. I believe in God Almighty. I place my trust and confidence in Him. I know that faith is the victory. And I'm standing on the promises of Christ, my Savior. He never fails.
Young and old getting on contrary. Last year, over 20-something more than. And the criminals, they get off so easily. But it's time to rewrite the Constitution. Bring back the death penalty. Too much moral decay within our society. Tension, tension again. I want to catch the plane. I want to go overseas to meet my family. But if I go over there, both of it over there, so I rather stay here. I wanna tell you, tension is the name of the song. Tension, time of intention and tension, all we have and been tension, tension.
My name is Gloria John. I janitor grammar school and community college.
How long have you been a janitor?
College for 22 years and grammar school for 20 years.
And you've been doing the two of them at the same time, or 21 place and
no.
then?
5 o'clock in the morning at the community college.
No, what I mean, for the same number of years. Do you work at both places?
Yeah.
So it's 20-something years?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did the government say about you and vaccination?
Well, when we go at the school, the principal had a meeting. He said, the ministry said if we don't take the vaccine, we mustn't come back on the compound.
Which of the schools you went?
The 2 schools.
When was this?
Last week, Friday.
And are you vaccinated?
No, please, and I'm not. And I'm not vaccinating.
Do you mind if I ask you why?
I don't really have no reason why, but I just don't want to vaccinate. Because there's a group of us as family, and there's only 3 of we are surviving from the group. Everybody done dead from cancer, so I don't think I want to take the vaccine.
So you think that taking the vaccine will put you at risk of
Exactly.
Have you gone to see a doctor to discuss?
No, they said we took, the college sent me to a doctor, but when I go, the lady said, don't, I better just keep my money because them will not give me the exemption.
What lady told you that?
The secretary at the doctor also.
So she told you they wouldn't give you the exemption?
She said they won't give me the exemption, they will tell me I could take the vaccine.
So you didn't follow through and go and see the doctor?
No.
Do you think that's a wise decision?
Yes.
So what is your plan?
Well, my plan is to do my own thing.
So you're going to quit your job, lose your job?
Well, if I have to lose it, I have to lose it.
Alright, thank you very much, Ms. John.
You are welcome.
Okay, so this is Brenton Smith, and Brenton Smith is or was a station sergeant of police. Are you still unvaccinated, Mr. Smith?
Yes, I am still unvaccinated.
And this week you received a notice from the Service Commissions Department, the Chief Personnel Officer,
yes,
indicating that he... Tell us what it's about.
Well, the letter is basically stating that I have failed to turn up to duty. I've basically abandoned my duty. And I couldn't see exactly why that was so when I had attended court and other duties. So, if that is their claim, that is their claim. I know I would have attended work. I did my best on my duties. I'm being dismissed. And here I am. I'm on a protest line.
So what is your plan?
For what?
In terms of employment and in response to the letter?
We will appeal that letter.
Who's the we?
The Police Welfare Association, members who were also sent home, we all will appeal that letter. And we have 7 days to do so. The lawyers already were instructed, so we're looking forward for that. In terms of employment, I think that, and I'm saying we because I'm referring to the other members who were also...
How many altogether?
About 13 of us. About 13 of us. Some are still waiting on an exemption, I was told. What we'll do, we are a very creative set of forces. We'll come together, we'll organize, we'll create businesses and opportunities for ourselves. Then I have some ideas, I won't say this to you now, but we are not going to lie down and play dead.
Can I ask, what is your position on the vaccine? Has it changed?
No, my position still remains the same.
Which is
I don't believe that anybody should be forced to be vaccinated. And secondly, we all talking about the science, but it's not one with the science deal with it. There are other contrasting views about the science as well. And based on what I'm seeing, I do not believe that we are basically told the truth around the world as to some of the side effects of the vaccine, especially here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're not hearing about the side effects at all. And you will have members complaining to you about serious side effects that they're having. You know, and based on that, I am not totally satisfied that I'm ready will take that vaccine.
And do you know if any of the other officers are on the picket line here today?
No, I have not seen any as yet. I know some promised to be here. I'm not seeing them as yet.
All right, thanks a lot.
Sure, man.
I'm great.
Why are you so aggressive? You want a different one? You want a one? Anyone?
Good morning, miss. My name is Kenton Chance of Eyewitness News. You don't want to talk? Okay, thanks, no problem. Okay, so I spoke to you a few months ago. You're a customs officer, and you had said that you were not vaccinated. Do you mind if I ask you if that has changed?
No, it will not.
So are you still employed at the customs?
I was given my letter of dismissal yesterday.
And how long did you work at the customs department? In the public service general?
31 years.
And why did you decide not to get vaccinated?
Well, of course, we are open to a lot of information. We live in the information and technological age. And there is much information telling me that this thing is dangerous. And even on the local scene, we know of quite a few persons who were injured from this vaccine. Even co-workers who took it recently, they ended up in the hospital, sick leave. People are there crying when the days come. I'm telling you, literally shedding tears because they were forced to do something that is against their will. And they have their children, they have their mortgages, and they say that they have to do it now to survive. I have mortgage, I have plans to do other things, but I will not subject my freedom to the voice of a man who tells me if I don't want to do what he says, I have no livelihood. That is a God position, and I'm convinced that this is a point of the nations, the governments, the authorities seeking to submit people. And in my understanding of the scriptures, as declared in the Bible, Revelation chapter 14, the nations worship the beast and his image. And I rather to worship God and him only. I'll put my trust in God and not in man.
Was it difficult for you to make the decision that you made?
Of course I have concerns, because nobody wants to lose their job. But no difficulties, because I think I understand what is taking place. I think it's a very evil time, and we can see it across the nations. I understand in Australia, before Australia was being locked down, Australia had a total of 1,300 plus deaths from the coronavirus, out of a population, I think, of 50 million people. So where is the issue there? So these people have an agenda, and that is what they're pushing on the nations for whatever reason. Maybe for money or whatever, I'm not sure. But there is some agenda that these people are pushing.
What would you say to your colleagues? Well, before I go to that, do you know if any other of your colleagues were dismissed?
Yes, I know for sure of 10 of us. I think there are some others who they said were among the ladies pregnant, and so they withhold for the moment. So 10 of us.
And what will you say to those who did not want to but took a decision to take the vaccine to keep their jobs?
I do believe it's, as I said, a very evil time. It's a dark time. I'm thinking it's going to get worse, because if you look, we still not seeing the will of the people to rise up and to say to the government, enough is enough. Taking back our country. I still don't see the will. And I wonder times, why are people so docile? Why are they so silent? Why are they not standing up? Don't they understand that it starts with us as the front line, but soon it's going to filter right throughout our nation, that people would seemingly have no right to make decisions for themselves. When you tell me you could take away my freedom as to what goes into my body, that is a very dangerous place to be at. So I do say that, you know, for my co-workers, for others who have taken it, I think they're entering into a very dangerous state, and God help them. God help us all.
They said they couldn't get on.
Well, actually, I'm an entrepreneur for myself, but my sisters are, one of them is a teacher and one is a nurse. Well, they don't want to take the vaccine.
Where are they?
They're supposed to be around here right now.
So why don't they speak for themselves?
Probably they don't want to speak, but I want to know if when people take the vaccine and there's an adverse effect, who is responsible for it? Who is responsible? Is the government responsible? Will they be taking responsibilities for it?
I don't think that they're educating the public enough on the adverse effects of the vaccine, but they're just forcing poison on people.
I think that Mandela should have been honored
They told me that my blood clot doesn't qualify for medical exemption. That's the letter that they give me.
Have you got exemption?
Because I couldn't mind hearing you talking about you applied for an exemption. Can you tell me a little about that?
So as I was saying, I suffer from blood clots. So because of that being a side effect of the vaccine, I sought medical exemption. Right? I just got back a letter on Monday that is telling me that my blood clots doesn't fit the criteria for medical exemption, even though they don't know the cause of me getting the blood clots.
Do you mind reading the applicable part of the letter? I can hold this to you. This is the part where it talks about.
Okay, so at the top they give me the date of when I applied for it, and then they say, I wish to inform you that the medical condition for which the exemption is sought does not fall under any of the conditions listed for which the exemption may be considered and or granted. Therefore, you are required to comply with Rule 5 of the statutory rules and orders.
Do you mind if I ask you, what do you do?
I'm a teacher.
How long have you been teaching?
9 years.
And what are you going to do in light of the fact that you were denied this exemption? Are you going to take the vaccine?
No.
So what's your plan?
God will provide. I have been here before. I have been without a job, and I did not one day did I starve, did not get anything to eat, I wasn't able to send my children to school. So I am holding on to God because He has been faithful to me. So that is my grounds. And I'm holding on there and I'm standing firm. I am not changing.
After you received this letter, did you report for duty?
I did. I continued on up to yesterday. I was there up to yesterday.
And did anyone try to prevent you from performing this duty?
No.
So you were still able to teach your children?
Yes.
Do you mind if I ask you where you teach and what class?
I teach at the Clare Valley Government School and I teach grade 2.
Well, I'm a student, a graduate. That's my alma mater, of Clare Valley Government. All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir. Can I ask you, why is it that you've decided to join the protest?
I've joined the protest because the teachers are the backbone of a country, okay? And I can remember the adult suffrage. I can remember the teachers getting tear gas, you know, back in Labour times. And we are here again. I want to know, has there been a dialogue with the Prime Minister or the Ministry of Health, with the teachers, regarding whether teachers can enter the classroom if they do a PCR test every fortnight, instead of the alternatives of vaccination or termination loss of job? There need to be options on the table, and there need to be alternatives where the teachers can feel safe, still have a job, and still contribute to our society. The cards on the table of where there is a mandatory vaccination or lose a job, it's just no. It's just too much authorization. You know what I mean? It's authoritative. We need solutions. And for those teachers retired who are taking these teachers' jobs, who are standing on the front line, they are hypocrites, to say the least, because they know the struggle that these teachers are faced to come so far.
Are you yourself a teacher?
I'm not a teacher. I'm in the army. I've been in the army. But I'm here to support the teachers' cause. Because what affects the teachers it's going to affect our public servants as well.
In which army are you enlisted?
I'm in the British Army.
Is a mandatory vaccination a requirement?
No, I'm in the British Army. There's no mandatory vaccination in the army, and it's not mandatory to wear a mask as well. So but as somebody,
what are the protocols then?
The protocols if you enter the workplace, for example, like if there's been an increase and stuff like that, where you go, there's different protocols. So you might wear mask here, or you won't wear mask, but no one asks you your vaccination status, and there's not mandatory to wear vaccine. But that being said, you have common sense to act sensibly in whatever area that you go. You know what I mean? So you wear a mask, you wash your hands and continue. But it's not mandatory. But the teachers are here, and some of them have been here for a long time doing such a great job. And it's really unfair for teachers to be told if they take the vaccine or you can't go to the classroom.
Mr. Alexander, do you have anything to say about the protest? Why have you decided to come on the picket line?
Well, it's for a good cause, and as you see on my poster, it says "Force the Came for the Teachers." And what I find in St. Vincent and the Grenadines is the powers that be are taking liberties with our freedoms that were given by our Constitution. They are tweaking the Constitution, making it different, removing the goalposts all the time, you know, to change the rules and so forth, making teachers a frontline, make them frontline workers and all these sort of things. It is illegal, and so we need to stand up. And what I'm saying, first they came for the teachers, and I think they're going to come for other people, including our students, the little children in school, everybody. They're going to come for everybody else. When you make something like this mandatory, where you have to take a man to have a freedom of what he puts in his body, you know, they're going to take other liberties. And this government has been doing that all the time. And we have to stand up.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yes.
Okay, so this is MP Terence Oliver. He's the opposition spokesperson for education, and he's a former teacher. Mr. Oliver, why have you decided to join the protest today?
I decided to join the protest because I think it is wrong that teachers, whether teachers or any public servant or any worker, should lose their job and all their benefits because they decided that it is not within their it's not within them to take a vaccine that they don't have all the information about. I think we can go about it in a different way. If we meet people, talk to them, inform them with the right health personnel and so, and try to convince them that it is important that they take the vaccine. But to try to force them to take the vaccine, and if they refuse, then you take away their jobs, they lose all the benefits. I don't think that that is right. So I'm standing up for all workers who, because of the government mandate, tend to, who are now in a position where they would lose their job. It is just not right.
The question that everybody would ask as an opposition lawmaker, what is the alternative? Does the government really have a choice?
I think the government have choice, but I have choices. When you look what is happening throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines and all over the world, we see the larger countries, they're pulling back. Not even the larger countries, even smaller countries, pulling back from the mandatory vaccination issue because they realize every day the science about the vaccination keep changing. So why are we pressing our people on this issue? And then if you look throughout any country, the vaccinated as well as the unvaccinated, they are dwelling together. We are out on the streets today. Do we know who is vaccinated and who not unvaccinated? I believe as long as people follow the protocols and you give them the opportunity to sort of research the information and make the decision for themselves, then we may have, we may tend to have more people buying into the issue, buying into the issue of taking the vaccination. But when you try to force people, you get a different reaction out of them. And I don't think, as I would say again, I don't think it is right
that persons should lose their job.
If you were to advise somebody personally about what decision they should make on the vaccine, what would you tell them?
Well, as what the leader has always been saying, as the leader of the New Democratic Party and the leader of the opposition has always been saying, give people the opportunity to research the information and make up their minds for themselves. Give them that opportunity to do so. We can use other persuasive methods of talking to them, trying to persuade them, give them the relevant information as to why it is necessary for them to vaccinate. But to try to force them to do it, I think that is the part that is causing all the difficulty. Because I've spoken to some teachers and other public servants, and they said the reason for them not taking the vaccine, it may not even be related to as a refusal. Some people have medical issues. Some people have the fear of taking the vaccine, and they just want to be guaranteed that if they take the vaccine, that everything will be all right. There's this fear that pervades, because sometimes when you listen to the social media, there's so many information for, there information against, and that is scaring some people. And as I said again, there are other people who have medical issues when they go to the doctors, and so they may not be able to take it because of other underlying complications which they're trying to get right before they take the vaccine.
Do you mind if I ask you personally if you're vaccinated?
I don't think I want to give that information right now. But I am here, whether people are vaccinated or unvaccinated. I'm saying it is their right and it is their decision, and we should try as much as possible to meet people halfway and to try to use whatever methods, accept this mandatory issue to get people to vaccinate.
All right, thank you very much.
Nice. You can see one back.
Yes, how you do? Well, this is Dr. Godwin Friday. He's the leader of the opposition. Dr. Friday, why have you decided to join the protest here today?
Kenton, the policy of mandatory vaccination for teachers, public servants, and others that the government has implemented is one that we in the New Democratic Party, the one that I have consistently opposed. We were out here before the legislation was passed and had demonstrations in the streets of Kingstown to seek to get the government to change its mind from implementing this policy, which they have gone ahead and know. And the hardship that it creates for people is something that I can't ignore. As an ordinary Vincentian, as a leader of the opposition, as a human being, because when I hear of the stories of people who one day they are colleagues at work, next day they come back, people tell them to get off the premises. People who have to make a difficult choice between the fears and concerns they have about their body and being able to maintain their mortgage and pay for the children to go to school and buy food for their family. That is not a position that you should be putting people in. And so I felt that I have to be here personally, but also I've encouraged my colleagues, and I see many of them who are here, and other persons of conscience to come out and support the teachers in their call for a picket here today. Because it is wrong. People have universally condemned this position that the government has adopted, and they still can reverse it, because to do so will end the pain, the anxiety and the suffering that so many people in the public service and teachers and so on are feeling. I would like to know that all people of conscience, and when you have people who are being victimized and being singled out and targeted and made to feel that they are the problem, that COVID is not the problem, but some people in the public service and teachers, and they are the problem. That is not the way for us to deal with this.
But even outside of a public servant, we have people, janitors, like for instance this lady here,
exactly.
I spoke to her a few weeks ago. Yes. And they were demanding that she gets a vaccination if she wants to continue to clean bathrooms and sweep the streets and things now.
So what is the point of that? What I have said is that all of the protocols that we have, vaccines, all of that stuff that to do to combat COVID. Everything must be geared towards a public health reason, you know? And what we find is that the government is using this broad brush, as you say, with persons who cannot be classified as any frontline person. But they give this broad sweep, and even persons who are not identified in the legislation, in the standing orders, the statutory rules and orders, they are treating them as though they can't come to work either. So you have to do, give up your job, or they're going to deem that you have abandoned your job. How could you have abandoned your job if you're showing up every day to work? I mean, that's a legal fiction. So people who are prepared to go to work, teachers in particular, who are there because they want to help the students, and now they're making them feel unwanted, to make them feel like they're disposable, that you can just pick them up and throw them out and bring somebody else and take in their place. I mean, that is wrong, and it will create a situation in this country where public servants, teachers, people in the public sector, and people in general, their distrust of this government will grow, and it can be good for our country going forward.
The final question I want to ask, of course, the obvious question is, what is the alternative?
The alternative to what?
To mandatory vaccination.
Clinton, we've been dealing with COVID for quite some time. We have learned many ways in which to combat it. You have testing, which we don't hear this government talking about testing at all.
The government says that it's too expensive.
They may say it's too expensive. Is it not expensive for people to lose all their job and their benefits? What they're saying is too expensive for government, but it ain't expensive for the teachers, for the public servants who lose their job and lose their benefits. Come on. It's not just a question of saying, you know, it's always what is convenient for government. Who is government serving? It's supposed to serve people.
So outside of testing, what are the options?
Well, you have testing, you have all this stuff that we know how to do to stay safe. What we are doing now, not just here but around the world, people are transitioning from talking about the COVID crisis to talking about how do you live with COVID. What do we have to do to stay safe and to engage in productive activity? There are many people who have become vaccinated, you know, and others who are considering it, but the point is that you don't force people to make that choice when they feel genuine fear and concern about it. That is not for you to tell them what to put in their body. You encourage and you do all the things that are necessary to provide the information for them to make their own decision. But what we have now is they're saying basically it's my way or the highway. I don't care what concerns you are. If you don't want to do what I tell you, lose your job, lose your work, lose your benefits, and your family will have to bear the pain of dealing with this crisis disproportionately. That's what this government is doing.
You got vaccinated quite a few months ago. Do you know if you're still considered to be vaccinated? Because some of the information that we are seeing coming out is talking about booster shots and having 3 shots.
Well, this is part of the challenge, of course, with the mandatory vaccination or vaccination in general, and about COVID, because you know it's something that was new. We've learned a lot about it over the past year and a half, and they continue to come with new information about the vaccine and so forth, the efficacy, whether you need to have a 3rd shot or a 4th shot or whatever. You know, I feel that I am protected. Those things that I have done, I've done it for my benefit because I feel that it's good for me. When individuals make that choice for themselves, then they will make that decision for themselves. And if you tell me, they say the medical science says that I need to get a booster shot, at some point I will do it. But nobody is going to force me to take a 3rd shot if I don't want to.
And that is essentially the position of the people who are yet to take shot number 1, that nobody's going to force them to
Precisely.
take one.
And the point is that I have come to the conclusion, you know, that this is going to take longer than perhaps we anticipated for us to work our way out of this crisis. I'm not one of those who believe that we don't have a problem. We do have a problem with COVID. So the question is, how do we work our way out of it? We can do all the things that we learn to stay safe. We can continue with testing and make testing more easily available to people so that they can know their status. Because let's face it, even if you're vaccinated, they tell you that you can also contract COVID, the virus, and infect other person. So what's important is so that we don't spread the virus to other persons, and that comes from testing, knowing what your situation is, and from you wearing a mask. As you can see, I have my mask on here, and doing all the things that we know. Sanitizing, social distancing, staying away from crowds and so forth. We continue to do these things. But over time, people are learning and becoming more comfortable with the decisions that they're making with respect to whether it's vaccination, testing, or other ways in which to protect themselves. And we have to recognize that that is where we are and work with people. Don't victimize some and single out others and saying, you are the problem. When in fact, COVID is the problem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Friday. Ms. Walters, you spoke a few weeks ago. Has the situation at the town board changed since?
Well, the situation, it still remains the same. We get word from the management of the market to go and get swab, right? And all of us, they tell us take the swab and then we will get back our work. We already did the swab and we carry it to them and now they refuse us again.
So you're still back, not
yeah, all of us are still not working.
Have you been paid since?
No, we are not being paid.
And how long have you been off the job?
We have
how
been
many weeks?
Since last month we are off the job. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, you should be a police and
I understand that the union plans to take legal action against the government. Can you tell me about that?
Well, yes, the legal instruments are being prepared. The lawyers are fine-tuning it. I should be signing sometime soon to give the final say in terms of what is going forward. We are compiling all the cases of what this government, the wickedness that this government has brought upon the Vincentian populace, and we are moving ahead, forging with full force. So the legal instruments are being prepared and I should be signing very soon.
How do you feel about the turnout that is here today?
Well, it's overwhelming. I'm very, very happy that the parents, the teachers, all workers, the unemployed, everybody who loves teachers came out and showed their love. And I'm excited, I'm very happy. And we are preparing for the next round.
Which is what?
This is just the smoke, the fire is behind. We are waiting until the parliament is going to meet. Because they shifted the parliament because they know this one was coming. If you run from the Jumbie, you muck up with the coffin.
Alright, thanks a lot, Mr. Robinson.
You're welcome. We gotta do that, man. You
and their families subject to insecurity, anxiety, loss of income over this Christmas season, a season of love. Now, which government does that? Take away people's jobs and threaten them at this time, at any time, but at this season, the season of Christmas season. So I give you the commitment, and those persons who are affected, who lose their work, who resign prematurely, whose benefits are affected, that the new Democratic Party government will make sure that you're made whole again.
Who says this? Hold it up for me, hold it up.
This is my new business. If you have anything to do,
tell me a little bit about yourself. You've given me a card. It says, "Can't man remove anything." There's a phone number. Vaccinated customers only. And the card says your new work. What did you do before this quote-unquote new work?
Well, Kenton, I was a teacher, right? I spent a couple years in the classroom, St. Martin. I spent about 6 years at grammar school, at Thomas Sanders. So I teach, but I have decided not to take the vaccine. I am unvaccinated, and there is a trend, or there's a plan to push unvaccinated people on the breadline. So that's why I'm here to protest against that policy.
May I ask, what is your position on vaccine, on the COVID-19 vaccine? You did say you're unvaccinated, but what is your position on it?
I'm a naturalist. I'm a Rastaman. I personally believe that this virus, this bacteria, this whatever parasite, it could be dealt with from within. It can be, your body can produce enough immunity to deal with it. So I really do not encourage the vaccine.
So you have a philosophical objection to it?
You could say that.
No, I'm asking, or is it a religious, or how would you describe it? For someone who's trying to find maybe a trite way to capture your position.
That's a natural mystic.
So it's a philosophy or a way of life?
Natural mystic.
So, do I understand you to say that this is how you've been living, and because of that, it informs your position? Would I be correct if I come to this conclusion?
You would be correct.
So therefore, the government has made some provisions for exemptions, but these exemptions are only captured under religion and medical. But based on my understanding of what you're saying, and correct me if you're wrong, this goes against your conscience. Is that correct to say that?
You are very correct.
But there's no provision for you.
Where men are concerned.
Did you make an application for the exemption?
No, I didn't.
Do you think that might have helped?
I really didn't put much weight in it. No, I didn't put much weight in it.
So you put a card here. Is it just a protest instrument, or have you been given a dismissal letter? Are you still allowed to go to your school?
Well, I am with the adult education department, so I'm not necessarily in a classroom, but they have spoken to me about it, about being vaccinated or whatever, and about not being on the compound and all of the other things that all of the other unvaccinated persons
are in the classroom. Those who are in the classroom, you're still subject to those same.
Right.
So as a person who's involved in adult education, do you do actual teaching, or are you in management, policy? What do you do?
No, I actually do some teaching. I'm an artist really, and I specialize in pottery. I studied pottery in Jamaica at the Edna Manley College, Jamaica School of Art. And so we are really trying to revive the pottery industry here, because we have a very powerful past when it comes to the pottery. As a matter of fact, if you dig up any place now, you're likely to find pieces that were left by the indigenous people. So we want to reactivate that and continue the process. So I deal with pottery, and so you know we were actually right now thinking about getting it into the prisons. You know, the straw work is there. Everyone here had carried the straw work into the prisons. And so we were planning to get the pottery in there. So it's a holistic energy in trying to revive that whole vibe. So
But then I get a sense that there's not a lot of people who are trained in this area. And if you were to leave the system prematurely, what impact might that have on the adult education sector in the country?
Well, you are right. There are not much people who are trained in clay work, in pottery, in comparison to the other territories, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, St. Lucia. So we're trying to do as much as we could. It would be a disadvantage if it's halted or it's allowed to peter out. But
rule this country, and if they don't know how to overstand that, and tell us come about it, all of you too. You see what I have here?
If you want to vaccinate, you do it on your own. Not anybody forcing you.